Hi, I'm Dee Bonnie, and I gotta tell you, it's really strange to be on a marriage platform and having a video that's just dedicated to divorce. But the truth is, it's a fact of life for a lot of us. And I would venture to say that if you've never been divorced, you're married, never been divorced, if you've been through some stuff in your marriage, if you've been through some really dark valleys, you've probably considered it. So I tend to believe, I have kind of a fighter warrior's heart, and I believe that we do not weaken something's power over us, something that's threatening us, threatening ourselves or our family. I don't think we weaken it by not talking about it. On the contrary, I think that if you and I have a dialogue and we talk about some true facts about divorce, that you can maybe start to see that it's really not a good option. It's not a viable option in almost any circumstance. Now, some of you out there, you're thinking about divorce. Maybe your spouse doesn't even know, but those wheels are spinning and you're considering it. And that's probably why you and I are having a conversation, because I think you need to hear this. Now, if you've known my story at all, if you've listened to me, you probably know that I've had 2 marriages before this one. And none of my spouses died, so I've been through divorce more than once. And I'm not proud of that at all. In fact, I believe that if my previous spouses and I had had a different foundation that our marriage was based on, I don't believe that those would have happened. Now, if you're at all like me, you're saying, yeah, but why would I take marriage advice from a guy who screwed it up at least twice? Fair enough. But you see, I think that the fact that I have screwed it up, that I've learned from it, that I've grown, and I've seen God completely transform my current marriage, I think that gives me a space to be able to talk to you about your marriage. See, I think that as I start explaining to you the mistakes that I have made, it's going to help you see that you can have something different in your relationship. And I believe if you're listening to me that I should just be transparent with you. So let's talk a few things about divorce. Some of them you've heard of or read or at least thought about. And then there's probably other things that we'll chat about that you really haven't considered. First of all, it's not hard to imagine that if you and your spouse get divorced, it's going to be traumatic. I mean, let's face it. You two have shared the most intimate part of yourselves with one another. And then you're reaching a point that you're just saying, I'm cutting you off. So there's going to be grief. Now, I know some people, a lot of people probably celebrate when they get divorced. But I think that's just because the relationship and the interactions have deteriorated to the point that anything would be better than the space that you guys were currently occupying. But all those hopes and dreams that you had in your marriage, of life plans that you had, those are not going to come to fruition, not with that person. And so really what divorce is saying is that your marriage has died. And your soul is going to need to grieve that. There's also going to be financial consequences. I mean, it's going to start off with paying court costs and attorney fees. You're going to feel like that you're delivering wheelbarrowfuls of money to your divorce attorney's office. And apparently, I didn't learn from my mistakes the first time, because I made decisions that caused my second marriage to end in divorce. But there's going to be assets that you currently have, if you're on the brink of this, assets that you have that you will no longer have. They just start getting divided up. And then if we bring kids into the mix, man, like I have 4 boys from my previous 2 marriages. And divorce has made it really difficult on me financially because I'm paying child support. Now, I'm happy to support my children. But the reality is that you're taking one household income and you're now dividing it between 2 households. So things get tight. I mean, you have double rent or mortgage. You have 2 electric bills, 2 internet service providers to pay for. I mean, it's really just a math equation, but divorce will make it hard for you to get ahead. While we're talking about children, let's talk about children and divorce. Now, somebody's going to tell you, oh, kids are resilient, they'll do fine, they'll be better off. Or you might say, well, I went through being the child of divorced parents and I did fine. No, the truth is, in divorce, children suffer. They are collateral damage. You see, kids have this need to be with two parents who are engaged with one another, who love one another. And so what divorce does is it relegates your kids to a place in life where they are always missing one parent. So you and I, as adults, we make decisions that sentence our children to that life. I'm going to say that again. You and I, as the adults, we make decisions that sentence our children to a life where they're always missing one parent. I have to just kind of let that set in because that's the truth. And kids, they are resilient, but we put them in a scenario where they're hurting. And I'll tell you that as adults, we are not disconnected from those consequences either. I mean, we end up missing our children. So, especially if you are not the one who gets to be the custodial parent. I hate that I even know these terms, right? The custodial parent is the parent who gets to be with your children most of the time. And then the other parent is the non-custodial parent. So with my 4 boys, I'm the non-custodial parent. And that means that my time with them is very limited, my time to love them and to teach them, my time to speak truth to them, my time to influence them. It's all very limited. And that's a consequence of decisions that I made. Now, here's one that you probably didn't think about. When you are divorced from your spouse and there's kids involved, and those households split into 2, you now have 0 say in what adults are brought into the other household. So I had to realize that I am in a place where I don't get a vote about what parental figures are brought in to the other house. And it's a downstream consequence that I really didn't even consider. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret. How to not get divorced. How to not get divorced is don't make the decision to divorce. Like, take that option off the table. Don't even consider it. Regardless of how bitter the argument gets, don't bring up divorce. Don't start contacting or looking up divorce attorneys. Don't start chatting with your friends about how maybe you'd be better off not married to your spouse. So don't even start that. Completely take it off the table is a surefire way to make sure that your marriage does not end in divorce. Now, I got to confess, I remember telling my second wife that my kids would just want me to be happy. That's such a lie. That's a lie that I told myself to justify the decisions that I was making. No, what children want are 2 parents living together, loving one another, loving them in a home that's full of peace and calm and contentment and love. Now, maybe you're saying, yeah, but Dee, my spouse and I, we can't do that. No, that's not true. Maybe you haven't done that, but I'm telling you, I'm proof that you can learn what it takes to stick together and have an amazing relationship. So I don't want you languishing in a dysfunctional marriage where the conflict is just grating at your soul. But I want you to understand that divorce is not the only way out of that. You see, I believe that if you'll hang out with me, I can start teaching you principles that allow you to start transforming your marriage. I want you to abandon mediocrity. I don't want you to stay there in the place that you're in. I want you to abandon mediocrity, and I want you to start learning things that allows you to ignite your marriage, to take it to a level that you didn't know was possible. I want you to have a marriage that is sacred. I want you to have a relationship that you cherish. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Hang out with me in this space and start taking the things that I've learned from all of my mistakes and start applying them and seeing how it changes your marriage. Because I want you to find with your current spouse a relationship that you value, that you prize more than any other earthly relationship. I want you to find that rock in your life that is your marriage, and not just stay in a place of mediocrity just because you're married or just for the kids. There's a third option. That option is to fix what you have and to take it to an all new level. I hope you guys will stay here with me, because I'm excited to take you on the journey through what I've been through, what I've learned, and how it's changed my marriage, because I know that it can change what you currently have. I love you guys. Please feel free to share this, subscribe, send up smoke signals, tell your friends, share it with somebody who needs it, because people around you are considering divorce, and there's way better options out there than that. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in.